we'll let the clean water do its job on there. But can you see this end here? We've got blue. Now we didn't put any blue out, did we, at all? But there's blue in the Payne's grey that you'll learn how to use. So not only is it a good black, a beautiful grey, it's also kind of a blue. And again, look at the textures that are created by using the Payne's grey on top of the ultramarine. And now this is without any, I'm not using any special additives in the water. This is just clear water. So while we've got this water in the jug, let's put out some Alizarin Crimson, which I use mainly for skies, of course. And let's do the same thing with that. Slightly different, I'm putting a bigger area of clean water. And that's virtually straight from the tube. So from the one blue, by adding layers, or washes if you like, we can make it as dark as or as light as we want. So I'll allow that to, and of course, using tissue, this can come off quite easily if you press. And that's just perfection, you know, for doing clouds. Because if you add clean water into that we've just pressed off, and let that do its thing, you'll see how that looks like clouds. And now let's do the same thing. Let's add the blue. Blue to that because it's got its own blue in it, but let's just see what happens when I do. Okay, and then my next colour is lemon yellow. Again, same Winsor & Newton, nothing special. And I'm going to use this next because the obvious thing is, what about greens? Which greens do we use? Well, everybody knows yellow and blue makes green. Let's put a fair amount on. Give it all a fair testing. Stretch it. Now, I'm just going to let this do its own thing by just allowing that to go into that. By keeping more yellow pigment in the frame, we get a nice summery green. So while that's doing its thing, we'll put out a couple of the other colours. Which one? Raw Sienna. Again, I need to renew my tube. Now this is kind of like a universal backing, if you like. I'll put this here. Whenever I do a sky, I put this on first in a lot of cases because it gives it a nice undercoat, and the other colours tend to react really nicely with it, you know, like the blue and the grey, all the colours. This is why I've chosen this palette, because of the way the colours react with each other. So while that's drying, I'll just add some more to the top of it. Now can you see how this blue just falling into the green, into the yellow, has produced this summery green? At the other end of the yellow, I'm just going to add pure blue. That gives a more evergreen green, you know, a wintry green. And the more blue that you add to the yellow, of course, the darker it gets. So let's check out what's happening over here. We added a little bit of blue. You're kind of getting a picture there, aren't you? You know, with the way it's texturizing on its own. I maybe left that a little bit long before I put the colour on it, but it's still bleaching it nicely with the clean water. And I'm going to let all these little testers, I'm going to let them dry. But meanwhile, I'm just going to keep adding pigment into pigment. So the question of which colours, how many greens, how many blacks, how many whites, it's kind of, actually what we'll do while I think on is just put a little bit of, let's find my brush. Yeah, I've beaten up old brush. Always, you know, when you're using masking fluid, always use an old brush. This is absolutely had it, this one. But it's still useful just to apply masking fluid. And I'm just going to put some random shapes there. You know, shapes we might use in a landscape. And this will, by the time I get down to it, that'll dry. Oops. So raw sienna is drying out nicely and kind of texturizing, as are these others. Now I could add and add and add, which I will do over time, but let's not rush it. My next colour is raw umber. It's basically a brown. And it's a brown, which you know by now, the way I use my colours, it's a brown which will texturize with the others. And I'm putting this on quite neat so that you can see it reacting. And it'll probably give you ideas as you see it react. You think, oh, I could do this with that, and I could do that with that. And I'm going to let those touch now. Because I want them to do their own thing, you know, mixed together. So a little bit more raw sienna. And our final colour, which is burnt sienna. This is a ready brown. This is beautiful landscapes, it really is. You see how red that is. And, but totally different red to the Alizarin, isn't it? I'm going to do exactly the same with that. Get a white area covered with water. And there are 7 colours. The question was which blacks. We don't use black, but look, Payne's Grey has given us a black. It's also given us a grey. It's also given us a nice purple colour when it's added with alizarin. The red, we could go darker and darker with that, which I will now. The more layers or washes that you put on, the darker it'll get. And of course, if we mix some lemon yellow into that red, Then we start going into orange, you know, for sunsets and things like that.